Welcome to Gloria's Gab Live. Today I have Sam Martinez, an old friend who is an author many times over now.
Yes.
And first time I think you and I talked about your book was when you were retired FBI, which is fascinating. We're going to get into that. But you have one, and then apparently breaking news, another book about your grandson. And super interesting, a topic that most people don't know about, and I certainly had never heard of it before. But before we start, I need to thank South Florida PBS. South Florida PBS is our sponsor all the time, and God bless you. Dolores, Janesi, Annabelle, you guys are great. If you're a member, and I know that you guys are, you get one of these magazines once a month. It tells you everything that's going on. And then, of course, there's healthchannel.com, and you can go there and find out a lot of information on everything. So, again, thank you, South Florida PBS. So, Sam, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with Joaquin.
Okay.
Joaquin's your grandson.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about how you discovered that he has a learning issue.
Joaquin is right now he's 7 years old, but right around 2 years old when kids start developing speech and so forth, he was lacking in speech. So what happened was that my son and my daughter-in-law took him to get some evaluations, and of course, getting evaluations for any child, you're going to have different results and so forth. So they found out one. Examiner told them that he had childhood apraxia of speech. It's called CAS. They refer to it as CAS. Mm-hmm. What it is a neurological issue with speaking and also with movement. The movement is not stressed as much as the speech is, but it is tied in together.
Well, it didn't reveal itself until he got a little older, you were
Yes.
saying. Yeah, so you started out with the oral apraxia, and then the teachers realized that there were some motion issues. And what happens there?
Well, the motion issue is of late. You know, he walks like a regular person, runs like a regular person.
I never noticed anything. I got to tell you, I didn't know there was any issue at all.
Loves to throw balls and throwing objects too.
Throwing objects. He's a boy.
But that was probably my fault, because when I would challenge him when we'd take walks, I'd say throw this, whatever he had in his hand, throw it in the bushes and go find it. So it was just like a test to see if he could find it. And then, at first he would get frustrated, but then he enjoyed the hunt of throwing it. Sometimes he would throw it into bushes, and then instead of landing or going completely over, it would land in the bushes. And so we lost a lot of toys while we went on walks.
So the throwing issue was not necessarily his anything to do with oral apraxia.
But he still throws. But the movement.
Okay, so the movement.
The movement is I didn't know this about it, but one of the teachers or therapists told my son and my daughter-in-law that he had it was part of an issue. And they said no, and so then I didn't see it as an issue either. So then I started reading about it, and I see that it is related. And what the relation is that it's the coordination. And one of the first examples of it was telling your child to do starfish. And so I told him, I said, Joaquin, do starfish, and I gave him.
So starfish is like your legs out and your arms out. Right.
Legs and arms out at the same time. So what I did, I told him, gave him the example, did it several times to show him, and then I said, okay, do starfish. And then he puts one hand up, and then the other hand up, and then.
But he couldn't do it at the same time.
It wasn't coordinated.
Yeah.
So finally, I kept trying, and I said, the movement is an issue with my grandson. So what I did was he loves gummies. Gummies is
so you bribed him.
I bribed him.
Pavlov dogs.
I put a gummy in there and I said, do it. Put starfish, put your arms out, and and the legs at the same time. And slowly but surely he developed it, and now he has no problem doing starfish because it's movement. But in the car on the way driving home, I tell him right hand, left shoulder, or right hand, left leg, or left hand. In other words, coordinate doing a cross between.
So you've become another therapist.
Yes, and
Very good, Sam.
actually a book that I read on apraxia by Dr. Malia, who's out of New York. That was probably the best book I've read. I've taken out every library book that possible. But Dr. Malia said that it's the bridge between your brain that's affecting the movement and your speech, because it's the movement of your tongue and language and mouth is I think these.
So have you noticed any or anything else?
No, with his mouth he has issues with pronunciation. It's difficult. We were riding the metro the other day, and he says, "Grandma sat down." I said, "Grandma sat down." Grandma was with us, and so we were riding it. And I said, "You want Grandma to sit down?" And he kept asking him if he wanted Grandma to sit him down, and he said no. He kept saying it, and then he used to get frustrated when you didn't understand him. That's one of the issues that really affects children is when you're trying to communicate and
and they keep telling you the same thing,
or they repeat,
and you can't understand
it and they don't say it. But what he was trying to say was government center is where we get off on the metro stop. He already knows that. I didn't. We were trying to figure it out and saying, "Grandpa, sit down." And we were interpreting it as that way. But now we know. So there's certain things that he says that
don't come out as clearly.
That don't come out clearly, and it's a speech. It's getting your muscles, and I think there's 26 muscles in your mouth that have to be coordinated in order for your tongue to move in the right direction. Right. Your teeth and your.
So it's just a matter of ongoing speech therapy.
It's ongoing speech therapy.
Yeah.
But it's just the lack of him not being able to communicate sets him back a little further than other kids. So that's my worry is that he advances. Some of the words, some of the letters that in the book that they say are hard. There's like the A, the K, the M, the N. Those are hard.
How is he in reading? Does it affect his reading at all?
He flashcards is a big plus with kids. You put the item out and he for him to get to know it. But he doesn't like to sit down and read. He likes to move around, even when he's a
little hyperactive.
Yes,
maybe.
Very.
He's a boy.
Very, very hyperactive. You run out of energy, and right now he likes to play chase me. That's another.
Oh, geez.
So I used to.
So Grandpa's getting a workout. Is that the deal?
First of all, he used to love me to pick him up and throw him up in the air and lift him. So I had. When he wasn't around, I would do weight training, try to get endurance, and now he's changed that to running. So now I'm having to.
You're gonna kill me, kid.
Now I'm having to run so I can.
Oh my goodness, so that's fun. What a good grandpa you are. Oh my goodness.
But he's getting two syllables together is a challenge to him. 3 and 4. So I started with the A's, and he's got the A's pretty well down, and the K was the next word. So I started telling to him, I am confident, and then so now he says, I am compete. Compete. Wow. But he says, but sometimes he gets it right, but a lot of times he still
goes back.
So then the next after K was the M. So now I'm saying I am marvelous. I am magnificent. I am a miracle. Several things. I don't put it.
That have several syllables.
I don't put it in the front word at the beginning, but at the beginning, like I'll teach him the word magnificent, and then he'll say, he'll try it.
He'll try to say it.
Keep trying, and once he gets it, then I try to say, I am magnificent. And then when when we were driving in the car, I usually challenge him to say, you know, he says, he'll say Joaquin in car, and I said Joaquin in car driving home, Joaquin in car going to the store, Joaquin in car going to Home Depot, Costco, or wherever.
Yeah, right.
Something to add to make it, you know, four or five words.
So you've got a longer thread
in a row.
Yeah.
So I'm keep working with him.
Yeah.
He's 7 now, and he's coming along. But the flashcards, for any child, teaching him the words and getting him learning that if he has an issue with speech is good. But then you find out that he can pick up a word, but then getting two words together was a problem. And 3 and 4 and 5 is a bigger.
Okay, so reading is one thing, but just understanding situations, that kind of stuff, that doesn't impede his ability to learn.
Well, the sad part about it is that when a child has communication problems,
It translates over?
adults tend to lower the language
Right.
of the child and don't discuss, you know, this is your grandfather, and your grandfather and your great grandmother was your father's mother, and this and that. People, I think, don't stop to explain that to him, to which other kids learn and already know. So I think it's an issue. And
okay.
my biggest desire is the first day that he'll say, "Why, Grandpa?"
Ooh.
Because he hasn't.
See, he understands.
I've tried to get him to ask me certain things, and he's never asked me, "Why, Grandpa?" And
wow, that's huge.
That's because it'll develop his. I'll know that he's curious about something, and he
Yeah.
wants, you know, instead of I'll say, "Do you know why you can't have this toy right now?" or something, and he won't answer me. So he won't.
Because he can't articulate it, but he may know.
I'm hoping that he knows, but I want to hear it from him, so that way curiosity is a learning tool for anyone. You know, once you get curious about something, you start asking yourself questions, and you develop your cognitive behavior.
You know, he's so lucky to have you. For somebody to do investigative how many people
Thank
have
you.
somebody that, you know, you're a therapist and you've done all this research. I suspect you could, you know, mentor a lot of parents, and have you ever thought about doing that?
I haven't gotten to the point.
Do you feel confident enough?
Actually, I actually wanted to write a book, and I am going to write a book because the books they're $300, $200, $100 for some of these books that deal with childhood apraxia, and that's.
And how many people can afford that?
How many
Right.
people can afford it or take it out? So fortunately, I looked at the library, and then I started seeing that they recommended books, and then I started getting speech therapist books, which, you know, they're for the professionals, and they're college level books, so they raise the prices up.
Oh, yeah, because they can. If your professor wrote it,
if you want
it's $300.
if you want to be in this class and get an A, you pay for this
Exactly.
$300 book, and so they're expensive. But I've bought some, and so
You need to go to the used bookstore. You know, although
they're hard to find.
Well, I was going to say no. If you're in that field, though, you don't give your books away. You keep them.
Right.
Yeah, you don't sell them after the class is over.
And when you see them used, sometimes like I'll go on Amazon and I'll see a book that's $90, and then I'll go on, you know, thrift bookstores or something, you know, online and cheap books online, and then I'll look and then I'll find it. But then they raise the price like 25, 50%. So it's, you know, they
You might as well get a new book.
They're difficult.
Yeah, right.
Difficult to get.
Oh my goodness. So tell me, what's your breaking news? Because you told me you had breaking news.
Well, first let me tell
Got
you.
one book.
The book, Joaquin, Aligning Oral Apraxia with Life,
Show it.
is actually for adults.
Well, yeah, I would think.
It's for adults to read to their children. And the reason I wrote it is it's in rhyme form so that children can listen to it. But it's really for adults to teach their kids that apraxia. And the reason is because when I try to take Joaquin out at public, see him how he reacts to people and so forth. And sometimes because he's a cute kid,
It's adorable.
People will look at him and talk to him, and then he'll look at them and turn around, and there's adults react differently. Some don't care, but then some people get angry that the child is not paying attention.
They don't understand. Yeah.
To him. So then sometimes when they keep harping or indicating that they're upset, then I tell them he's got a speech issue, or he's in the spectrum, or he's got apraxia. And people, I can't tell them really apraxia because
they don't know it.
They don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but I wrote this for adults. It's as to teach kids how to to be patient, be confident with teach them words, syllables, one at a time, and to not to have other children judge him by him not speaking with them or talking to them or mixing with them.
If he's not communicating, it's because he can't yet. But it's just a matter of time.
Yes.
With a grandpa like you, it's just a matter of time, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
But
what is this next one?
Actually, this was actually my second book.
Okay. It was.
It's called Affirmations that Kiss the Chakras. And what I did was I put it as a pen name as Joaquin del Alma, and that's what I said. I'm going to start a fundraiser, and any book that I sell will go into helping children with apraxia. So from my first book, it was a different genre than the second.
Big time.
Yes, very, very big time.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'll use a pen name because then they'll say FBI to.
What is he doing writing a book about apraxia?
He won't know anything. So I wrote
Okay, let me see this. Okay.
During COVID, I wrote. We got back. We actually were in Asia during COVID. We went to Asia. We had the tickets and everything, and they canceled the cruise. So we decided to fly and do it on our own. So we were there for 28 days in Singapore, Taiwan.
And they let you come back.
Cambodia. They let us come back. They were more strict overseas than they were when we came back.
Oh, when did you come back?
We came back in the
early 2020.
February. Yes.
Oh yeah, you just
end of February.
I did the same thing. I went to Chicago. I got back just in time.
We came back in February, and every place overseas, they had masks on, they had gloves on, they were taking the passports, checking. Here they were doing just not
regular.
Doing just.
We didn't do it.
They didn't have any partitions yet. They didn't have. They weren't having gloves. They weren't wearing masks.
No.
They were just taking.
I remember coming back from Chicago, and there was talk about it, but nobody was wearing masks yet. You're right.
So during that period, I decided. I saw everything had changed, and so I said, so I got on Facebook and I started making funny videos online. So just to get people,
something to do,
something humor. But that time I said, I'm gonna write a book about affirmations. And then it's also my health is for 75 is very good. So and a lot of it is my positive thinking. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
So I decided to write. What do I write about? And so I wrote about affirmations that kiss the chakras. But and I put a pen name so they wouldn't know it was me. And I thought from now on I'll write under a pen name. But then when I wrote my book on my grandson, I decided, well, let's make it.
Let's go back.
Let's go back and use my name, and it's got pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures of the family, pictures of of what he does, pictures of the school, so forth. So I'm doing all the funds.
Okay, so this one, let's see. Is there anything in here you'd like to read? Let's see. Solar plexus affirmations for confidence. How about that? Is that a good one?
Yeah.
Okay, you read it.
Let me just give you some affirmations.
Okay, just do whatever you want.
Answers come if I seek them. Everything I need, I have within. Everything is possible for me. I accept change and flexibility in my directions. So
Those are good things.
those are good things.
Yeah.
And what I did was I narrowed, there's seven chakras, main chakras. And so what I did was I started from the root canal all the way up and started saying what's best for, and studied that. So it's all affirmations at particular section of the heart, of the mind, of the solar plexus, like you just read.
Mm-hmm. So you're an interesting man, Sam Martinez. Okay, can we talk about systematic evil, Nat Perez versus the FBI?
Systemic evil.
Systemic evil, right?
This is a book. When I was in the FBI,
Let's talk about that, because you're retired FBI.
Yes.
You worked how many countries?
Well, I was
Uruguay, Mexico.
I was assigned to Mexico and assigned to Uruguay with South American operations. So I had 8 countries under my responsibility in South America, other than Colombia and Venezuela. And so because each Colombia and Venezuela had their own offices, but the rest of the country, South America, I was responsible for that, and I had the office. I had real good agents working for me. I had good secretaries that were working for me, and so we had all kinds of issues. 20% was terrorism, 20% was white collar crime, 20% were fugitives that created problems in the U.S. and were now in different countries and so forth. And then 20% was just general violations and so forth. But during that time, before this, my assignment to South America, a lot of Hispanic agents, we were new to the FBI in just after 1960s. So I came in 1973, and agents, a lot of Hispanics were sort of pigeonholed into assignments because, oh, you speak Spanish, go do this, and then or I need some help with Spanish, you come help me. But then on the paperwork, we'd never get the credit. So that was part of the issue. And and you have 2 profiles in it. One of it is the network, and one of the other part is your administration. So we looked short on the administration because we were doing everybody else's work.
I see. And not getting credit for it.
And not getting credit for it. So that was an issue. It wasn't, some people said discrimination is about hate. And discrimination is about living, because you need discrimination in your life. It's a positive, it's a natural instinct that we have, fight or flight. So it's something it's a natural. Where it turns to evil is when I ask you, there's an issue, and you decide not to do anything, and then you retaliate. When you retaliate, that's what I call discrimination becomes evil. But
so that was a systemic evil.
That's why, instead of calling it this systemic discrimination, which is what the judge ruled, I decided to call it evil, because discrimination to me is I need it to live my life, and everybody needs it to live their life. So we ended up going to court in Texas, in El Paso, Texas, and the judge ruled in favor of the Hispanic class action lawsuit, saying that Hispanics were held behind and not advanced because of the being pigeonholed in. So
you were not given assignments you might have been given had you been given credit in the past for the work you did.
Well, actually, in some cases we were given good cases, but then when we had to go to Puerto Rico for 90 days, or Miami for 60 days, or to Chicago or Los Angeles for 60 days to help some other field office, then they would take the good cases and leave the cases with low profiles, leaving them to us. So we had to start all over, and plus our the cases that had less.
So you got taken off the good cases to take care of other people's issues.
Take other cases,
right?
So that was one of the issues. That was one of the biggest findings that the judge ruled on. So it was Judge Button. And Button was he was a character. He was a real funny judge, and had added some humor to take the stress off both sides, because the bureau really wanted to win this case, and they had a big effort. A lot of their lawyers and the DOJ, which they thought they were going to win, and I think the reason they pursued it is because they just identified discrimination as hate, like the Ku Klux Klan, which is what they were. Oh, we don't hate these guys. We love them. They're doing all kinds of work. But But they didn't see that
it took you to open their eyes.
It took us 310 agents out of 400 signed up to join the class action lawsuit.
Wow. Right.
And the part right before the trial, there was 5 agents that weren't part of the class actions. So they were promoted miraculously.
Oh, really?
So they had the reason to show that, hey, look at the statistics. We just advanced somebody. So,
but they advanced the people that weren't part of the class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
To make the point.
to make the point. But then they ended up settling with a few of them. But then I ended up going before a panel. Barbara Jordan was one of the persons in the panel, and so I went and presented my case, why I thought I should be promoted to them, and they accepted it. And I said I was actually cheated out of a legat position, and so they made me the legat of Montevideo, which is in charge of all South America.
Okay, so that's how you ended up with that position.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
And then when I returned, I worked in the criminal division, and then I ended up working on assigned to DEA, overlooking FBI cases that had to do with South and Central America. So,
is there a case that was your, I guess, the most satisfying case that you were ever involved in?
I guess the Patty Hearst case was the biggest case. I wasn't
Really?
I wasn't the case agent, but I worked it, and that was the biggest case. I just got into San Francisco. We were assigned to theft from interstate shipment, which we dealt mostly with longshoremen that were stealing stuff from the ships.
Oh, really?
And so forth. So I started with that and check cases, but then when the Patty Hearst case came along, everybody was just basically in the San Francisco office was assigned to that, and I was we did surveillances from different homes and cars, and then I was put on a response team, and also with the two-man car that we had to if there was a sighting of Patty Hearst or Sin-Q or one of the other members of the SLA, what we did was we had to respond and cover that lead to see if it was true, and so that was kind of a danger. It was more like being cops are more in danger than FBI agents, because we do our research and then we find out the best time to arrest people. This time it was more like a police officer responding to somebody that maybe
that they have no background on.
Right on.
Exactly.
So their work is much more dangerous than an FBI agent.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
But if you're working undercover, which I did,
well, that's another thing.
That's another issue.
A little more dangerous.
They're very dangerous.
Yeah. How often did you do that? Very often?
I did it in San Francisco once and then in Chicago I did it more often, and then in Denver I really did a lot. And then in Denver it's a smaller office, so I was getting mixed up in a lot of things. It didn't really have to do it. It had to do with rich people in Aspen or people, carpenters, and I don't want to take much time, but there was one case where I came down from Aspen, and I had a gold chain, a thick gold chain, a silk shirt, and real nice slacks, and my ASAC, he said you have to go to Fort Collins to work on a case. I said, what is it? He said, I don't know. He needs an undercover guy. So I get down there.
With your gold chain and
with
your
the gold
shirt.
chain, the silk shirt, and the whole thing. And then Ed Zacharias, who was in charge of the office there, he says, why are you dressed like that? I said, I just got here. He told me, he said, what am I? You're supposed to be a biker.
Oh my God. You are not going to believe it. We are out of time, Sam. You're going to have to come back and tell us more stories. Thank you so much for coming today. It's been a delight. And everybody, I can't believe what you're doing with Joaquin. Such a good grandpa. And congratulations on your work with him. And we'll pray that he comes along really well.
Thank you for having me. And
You're welcome. My pleasure. And thank you again, South Florida PBS, for being our sponsor. We appreciate it. And until next week, have a good one, be kind, and stay positive.
Thank you, South Florida.
There you go.